History isn't just a collection of dates and names, it's a tapestry of stories, myths, and legends that shape who we are today. Welcome to Exploring History with Aasif, the podcast where we dive deep into the tales that have defined civilizations, sparked revolutions, and left an indelible mark on humanity. I'm your host, Muhammad Aasif, and today, we're stepping back into the misty past, to the very foundation of one of the greatest empires the world has ever known, Roman Empire. But this isn't just a story about a city. It's a story of ambition, betrayal, and destiny. It's the story of two brothers, Romulus and Remus, whose lives were intertwined with the gods, the wild, and the very essence of what it means to build something eternal. So, grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's journey together into the founding myth of Rome, a tale that's as dramatic, bloody, and awe-inspiring as any blockbuster movie. Trust me, by the end of this episode, you'll see history in a whole new light. Let's begin. Section 1, The Mythical Origins. To understand the story of Romulus and Remus, we need to go back even further, to the fall of Troy. Yes, that Troy, the city immortalized by Homer in the Iliad. According to legend, after Troy was sacked by the Greeks, a Trojan hero named Aeneas fled the burning city, carrying his father on his back and leading his son by the hand. Aeneas' journey was long and arduous, filled with trials and tribulations, but eventually, he landed on the shores of Italy. Now, Aeneas is a crucial figure in Roman mythology. He's seen as the progenitor of the Roman people, the link between the ancient world of Troy and the rising power of Rome. But how does this connect to Romulus and Remus? Well, fast forward a few generations, and we come to a woman named Rhea Silvia. Rhea Silvia was a Vestal virgin, sworn to celibacy in service to the goddess Vesta. But the god Mars, yes, the god of war, had other plans. He fell in love with her, and together, they had twin sons, Romulus and Remus. Now, this is where things get interesting. Rhea Silvia's uncle, Amulius, had seized the throne from her father, Numitor. Fearing that the twins would grow up to challenge his rule, Amulius ordered them to be killed. But the servant tasked with this grim duty couldn't bring himself to murder two innocent babies. Instead, he placed them in a basket and set them adrift on the Tiber River. Imagine that for a moment, two newborns, left to the mercy of the currents, their fate hanging in the balance. But as we'll see, the gods had a plan for these boys. Section 2, The Wolf and the Shepherd. The basket carrying Romulus and Remus floated downstream until it came to rest near a fig tree, at the base of the Palatine Hill. Here, the twins were discovered by a she-wolf, who, instead of harming them, nursed them as if they were her own cubs. This image, the wolf suckling the twins, has become one of the most iconic symbols of Rome, a powerful reminder of the city's humble and wild beginnings. But the she-wolf wasn't alone in caring for the boys. A shepherd named Faustulus found them and, recognizing their royal lineage, took them in. Under his care, Romulus and Remus grew into strong, capable young men, unaware of their true heritage. As they grew older, the brothers became natural leaders, often clashing with local bandits and protecting their community. It was during one of these clashes that their true identity was revealed. Captured during a skirmish, they were brought before their grandfather, Numitor, who immediately recognized them as his grandsons. With their lineage confirmed, Romulus and Remus set out to reclaim their birthright. They overthrew Amulius, restored Numitor to the throne, and then faced a pivotal question: what next? The brothers decided to found a new city, but there was a problem. They couldn't agree on where to build it. Romulus favored the Palatine Hill, while Remus preferred the Aventine Hill. This disagreement would set the stage for one of the most dramatic moments in Roman mythology. Section 3, The Founding of Rome. To settle their dispute, Romulus and Remus turned to augury, a practice of interpreting the will of the gods by observing the flight of birds. Romulus claimed to have seen 12 vultures, a sign of divine favor, while Remus saw only 6. Convinced that he had won the gods' approval, Romulus began to build his city on the Palatine Hill. But Remus wasn't ready to concede. In an act of defiance, he leaped over the half-built walls of Romulus' city, mocking their height. This was a grave insult, and Romulus, enraged, struck his brother down. According to the legend, Romulus declared, "So perish whoever else shall leap over my walls." With Remus dead, Romulus became the sole founder of the city, which he named Rome after himself. But this act of fratricide cast a long shadow over the city's origins. Was Rome destined for greatness, or was it born from bloodshed and betrayal? Romulus' next challenge was to populate his new city. He opened its gates to outcasts, fugitives, and runaway slaves, offering them a fresh start. But there was a problem: the city lacked women. To solve this, Romulus devised a bold and controversial plan: the abduction of the Sabine women. This event, known as the Rape of the Sabine Women, is another pivotal moment in Roman mythology. Romulus invited the neighboring Sabine people to a festival, and during the celebrations, the Romans seized the Sabine women, taking them as wives. This act led to war between the Romans and the Sabines, but ultimately, the two groups reconciled, and the Sabine women played a crucial role in uniting the two peoples. Under Romulus' leadership, Rome grew in strength and power. He established its institutions, its laws, and its military traditions. But his reign came to a mysterious end. According to legend, Romulus was taken up to the heavens during a thunderstorm, where he became the god Quirinus, a divine protector of Rome. Section 4, The Legacy of Romulus and Remus. So, what are we to make of this story? Is it a historical account, a moral fable, or something in between? The truth is, the tale of Romulus and Remus is all of these things and more. It's a founding myth, a story that the Romans told themselves to explain who they were and where they came from. But it's also a story that resonates with universal themes: the struggle for power, the tension between brothers, the clash between civilization and the wild. It's a story that asks us to consider the cost of greatness and the sacrifices required to build something enduring. The legacy of Romulus and Remus is woven into the fabric of Rome itself. Their story inspired the Romans to see themselves as a people chosen by the gods, destined for greatness. It shaped their identity, their values, and their sense of purpose. And in a way, their story is our story too. Every civilization, every nation, every community has its founding myths, the stories we tell ourselves to make sense of who we are and where we're going. The tale of Romulus and Remus reminds us that history isn't just about what happened, it's about what we believe, what we aspire to, and what we're willing to fight for. Section 5, The Historical Context. Now, let's take a step back and look at the historical context of this myth. While the story of Romulus and Remus is undoubtedly legendary, it's rooted in real historical processes. Archaeological evidence suggests that Rome began as a collection of small settlements on the Palatine and other hills, which gradually coalesced into a single city. The myth of Romulus and Remus likely emerged as a way to explain this process, blending historical elements with symbolic and religious significance. The she-wolf, for example, may represent the wild, untamed nature of the early Roman people, while the fratricide of Remus symbolizes the conflicts and struggles that accompanied the city's rise. It's also worth noting that the Romans weren't the only ones with founding myths. The Greeks had their own stories of city founders, often involving divine intervention and heroic deeds. By adopting and adapting these myths, the Romans positioned themselves within the broader cultural and historical landscape of the ancient Mediterranean world. Section 6, The Enduring Power of Myth. Ultimately, the story of Romulus and Remus endures because it speaks to something deep within us. It's a story about beginnings, about the challenges and sacrifices that come with building something new. It's a story about identity, about how we define ourselves and our place in the world. And it's a story about legacy, about the mark we leave on the world and the stories that will be told about us long after we're gone. The Romans believed that their city was destined for greatness, and in many ways, they were right. Rome became one of the most powerful and influential civilizations in history, shaping the course of Western culture in ways that are still felt today. But the story of Romulus and Remus reminds us that greatness isn't given, it's earned. It's built through struggle, through conflict, and through the choices we make. And it's a reminder that every ending is also a beginning, that every fall is an opportunity to rise again. And that, my friends, is the story of Romulus and Remus, a tale of ambition, betrayal, and destiny that laid the foundation for one of the greatest empires in history. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the founding myth of Rome. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Exploring History with Aasif for more fascinating stories from the past. Let me know in the comments what you think about the story of Romulus and Remus. Do you see it as a historical account, a moral fable, or something else entirely? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep exploring, questioning, and discovering the stories shaping our world. This is Aasif, signing off. See you in the next episode.